Hello everybody, this is Joe Workman, and today I would like to introduce you to the new CookieJar stack. Now the European Union has a new law called the Cookies Directive, where they require that you display a message to your users of your website whether or not they want to accept or decline the use of cookies on your website. Well, CookieJar helps you do that. It has a customizable message along with customizable buttons that allow you to either accept or decline the use of cookies on your website. So let's jump on in and see how easy it is to configure the new CookieJar stack. So here we are on a new stacks page, and we've added our CookieJar stack to the page. Let's look at some of the settings that we have. So at the top, you can either position the CookieJar stack to be displayed at the top of the website like we saw earlier, or you can also display it at the bottom. The display time settings defines the number of times per day that your alert will be shown to users before they either accept or decline the cookies. The display length defines the number of seconds before the alert is hidden. Now for both of these, if you set the value to 0, it will essentially set that value to be unlimited. So display times will be unlimited, display length will be unlimited. So if we look further down, we have the ability to add our own custom close image to the stack. And we also have the ability to change the text for both the accept and decline buttons. Now we can also use the styled buttons, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. Also further down we have text size, text color, background color, and then we have the opacity of the background. Now at the bottom we have show sample statement. When you check this, it displays a sample text that you can use or modify. It basically is a starter kit where you can start off with your alert to your users. Okay. Now inside this, we recommend that you actually have like a privacy policy on your website, and then you link to that privacy policy. That's definitely best practice in this case. So to get our stack working, essentially all we need to do is add some text. So now you can add anything that you want, but I've already pre-done some text, so I'm just going to add some text in there. I'm happy with the default cookies for right now. If we preview our page, we will see I now have my text that I added, accept cookies, and my decline cookies button. Now you would think that we might be done. However, the CookieJar stack does have limitations. It does not have control over the cookie generations of every single plugin or stack that is possible within RapidWeaver. Now luckily, pretty much most RapidWeaver add-ons aren't going to be collecting user data. So the cookies that they generate are actually not applicable to the EU directive. But analytics, which pretty much all of us use, Google Analytics or Go Squared or whatever Google or whatever analytics service that you tend to use, those do fall into this law. So we need to basically take our Google Analytics code and add some stuff to it so that it works with the CookieJar stack. So here we are in our RapidWeaver project where we configure our Google Analytics. Now one feature of CookieJar that we actually haven't talked about is that it ships with a full set of snippets that allow you to do a complete implementation of CookieJar outside of a stacks page. However, one of these snippets actually is adding analytics. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up a text editor that has my analytics code that I got directly from Google in it. So here we have my analytics code that I got directly from Google, and let's go ahead and get the analytics snippet and integrate it in with our Google Analytics code. So we double click on our snippet, Control All, copy it. Going to cancel out of that. Don't need our snippets window. I'm going to go ahead and add it below this. Okay. So essentially what we have here is we have our Google Analytics code, and then I have my snippet down here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my Google Analytics code between the two script tags. So there's going to be an open script tag and an ending script tag. Okay, we're going to copy that, and then we're going to replace these two comments right there in the middle. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pasted the code that we just copied. Now you can actually go ahead and delete that. And this snippet that we have left is what we're going to paste into RapidWeaver. So we're all going to copy this. I'm going to go into RapidWeaver and I'm going to paste it directly into there. And that's it. That's all you have to do in order to configure CookieJar to work with your Google Analytics. Now this is going to cover probably 99% of the RapidWeaver cookie generations out there. Like I said, most plugins or add-ons do not actually gather user data, which is the only thing that's applicable with the cookie directive. Okay, but if you happen to be using a plugin or maybe some code that you got off the internet, you're going to want to talk with those developers of those add-ons or plugins that you're using to ensure that their products are updated to support the cookie directive. And I have full documentation on my website on how they can do that. So that's basically it for the general overview of CookieJar. Let's jump in and show you how we could actually customize this to use styled buttons. So that covers the basic overview of the CookieJar stack. Now let's jump back into using styled buttons that I mentioned earlier. So if we go back to our CookieJar stack, and in the settings pane, select the Use Styled Buttons setting, we'll notice two drop areas have now appeared. Now in these drop areas, you can drop in any button stack that you'd like. For instance, we can add a default stack button. So you can go here and then you can customize the text to be accept, okay, and the button over here would be decline. And when you use this, those buttons would actually be used. Now another great example of this is with my sweet button stack. Let's have a look at that. So here we have a beautiful example of CookieJar using my two sweet button stacks. We have one that says accept cookies with a little thumbs up, and then over here we have a decline function to say, instead of decline cookies, I said you're getting less functionality of my website. So decline functionality with a thumbs down. Okay, and if we preview that, we see that it's actually very attractive look and feel. We have really nice attractive buttons. Green is obviously accept, red is decline. So you see this is really flexible so that you could actually customize it really great to look awesome on your website. Now earlier in this screencast, I had mentioned that CookieJar ships with a full-blown set of snippets that allow you to implement CookieJar on any RapidWeaver page, not just stacks. Let's jump in and see how easy that is to do. Now if we open our snippet editor, we'll notice that there are a bunch of out-of-the-box CookieJar snippets that we can use. Now the first one we're going to look at is the CookieJar HTML snippet. Essentially, let's just copy that. We're going to go into our web page and paste it directly in. The next thing that we need to do is ensure that we select our code. Since this is a styled text page, we need to go to Format, Ignore Formatting, so that all this formatting is ignored on the styled text page. Now if you'd like, you can actually go through and edit the text within this HTML to customize it to your liking. So this is the same default snippet that I have in the stack. So you can go ahead and edit that snippet and it will customize it for you inside the CookieJar alarm. Now there's two more aspects that we need to add to the page. The CSS, which is essentially the styling of it, and there's obviously a snippet for that. If we open up the snippet, we'll notice that there are two CSS snippets. There is a position bottom snippet and a position top snippet. So if we want to position CookieJar at the top, we would use the position top snippet. So let's go ahead and take that. We're going to paste that directly into the CSS tab in our page inspector. Now if you're familiar with CSS at all, you can actually go through and edit some of these values for opacity, background color, text color, and things of that nature. So if you're familiar with the CSS, go ahead and edit those things. Now lastly, we have JavaScript. In this JavaScript, there is a JavaScript snippet. In the snippets, let's go ahead and copy that and paste that directly into the JavaScript window. Now, most of this JavaScript I recommend you do not touch. However, there are a few variables that you are able to go ahead and edit. Towards the end, there is a block of text here, and you'll notice that there is a declaration of a variable and a value. This is where you can actually configure whether or not you want your position to be at the top or the bottom as well. Your display seconds, similar to the setting in the Stacks HUD, and then display times, and then your opacity. So there are 4 options here that you can configure. Please do not touch anything else in this. You can just configure these particular variables that will be used. Now, once we've done that, we can now close our window, and if we preview this, everything should work. So we have our text, we have our buttons, and actually if you notice, our close button is not here. That's easy to fix. Essentially, once you have a close button that you defined, you can go ahead and add that close button to your resources. So just add an image that's called close.png to the top level of your resources. That's all that you need to do. And once you do that, if we preview our page again, we'll notice that we now have a nice close image there that we added into our resources. So that is the CookieJar stack, everybody, and the set of snippets. I hope you enjoy it. It is a great stack, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.